G'day guys, welcome back. If you're thinking about moving to Medellin or any country for that matter, you're going to find today's video extremely helpful. I'm going to share with you a free spreadsheet that I've put together that covers everything you need to know to prepare your move to Medellin. This has sections which are very specific to Medellin and Colombia, but also many things apply to you if you're going to move anywhere in the world. For example, organizing a bank card which doesn't have any transaction fees, or a debit card that refunds your ATM fees. So now you have a bit of a taste of what we're going to talk about. But before I get into the video, I just want to tell you, you're going to get the maximum value if you download the spreadsheet and you look at it at the same time as you listen to me. Having both of those things will really help this information stick in your mind. So this is what the spreadsheet looks like, guys. You can get it from jumping onto this link right here, Medellin Masterclass. Put your email address in and you'll get it straight away. Have everything broken down into sections here. We have, I believe it's 16 sections. So I'm actually adding to this all the time. Whenever someone comments and says, hey, what about this? Or I think about something that would be really useful for you guys, I add it to this list. I'm going to explain every single thing in this list so you know why I've put it on there and why it's going to be of value to you to plan it and organize it before you come here. So the first thing, guys, on this list is banking. We want to organize our banking because this is directly going to cost us hundreds, if not thousands of dollars once we move to a new country. And once you're in that new country, it might be difficult to contact your bank back home and get a lot of these things shipped out, especially in countries like Colombia, where it can take longer than normal. So the first thing is get an ATM card that reimburses your ATM fees. For example, Charles Schwab. So when I first traveled, I just had my old ATM card from back in Australia. And every time I used this card at an ATM, it charged me a 5% international transaction fee plus a $5 transaction fee for using the ATM outside of Australia, plus the ATM fee. So if I took out $100, that would often be $15 just in fees. So I have many friends who have this Charles Schwab account, and what happens is you add up all your transaction fees at the end of the month and you send it to Charles Schwab and they reimburse it for you. So that's one of the best cards I've heard of, but I'm sure there's many more. So the next thing is get a credit card with no international transaction fees, because the standard international transaction fee is 5%. Let's say you spend $3,000 every month. 5% of that is 150 bucks you're losing just in fees every month. This could easily be avoided if you just get a credit card which has no international transaction fees. I have one, let me see where it is. So something like this. This is, I think it's only available for Australia, but if there's one in Australia, I'm sure there's tens, if not hundreds, in the US. All right, so now you've got those two. The next thing is to download some money transfer apps. You might use this for things like paying for services to locals here in Colombia. Sometimes they can't accept credit card or things like that. So for example, my singing coach, she only takes payment via cash or via bank transfer. So I don't have a Colombian account. How do I transfer to her? I use Wise. So Wise is an app, really good. There's many others, Revolut, Remitly, blah, 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 blah. But I've used Wise for many years. What it does is it allows you to transfer from your account in any currency to another account. So many times I transfer from my Australian account to my mates in the US or even my girlfriend in Colombia. And for $100, I might only get charged $2 or $3. The rates are really, really low. And also they don't charge a huge amount on markup fees. So what a lot of these companies do, especially PayPal. PayPal is one of the biggest ripoffs just for this, because whenever you do a transaction, they charge you the standard transaction rate. Let's say, for example, $1 is 4,100 Colombian pesos. That's the market rate. PayPal might only give you 4,000, so they will keep the extra commission. So watch out for that. One of the best apps that I've seen that doesn't charge you extra and just charges you the market rate plus a little bit of a fee is Wise. So give that a go. If you want to sign up for it, there's a link there that I left in the spreadsheet. The next one is if you're going to be in Colombia a long time, you can also open up a Colombian bank account. This is really good also because then you don't have to use Wise and all those other things. Usually a Colombian will give you their number, like a bank account number, and tell you if it's savings or whatever. I don't know what the other one is. checking and you just put that information into your app, which the Bank Colombia or whatever bank you have, and then it's boom, instantaneous, really, really good. But the thing with that is you need a cedula. For anyone who doesn't know what a cedula is, it's basically like your social security number of Colombia. It's your Colombian ID. So the only way you can get this is by having a visa. You need a long-term visa, and then you can get the cedula, and then you can go to a Bank Colombia and they'll open a bank account for you, but only for as long as the visa lasts. So as soon as they'll see that your visa is expired, then they will close your bank account. This actually happened to me recently. My student visa expired in July. I went in June to open the bank account. They said, yes, sir, we can do it for you, but in a month, because your visa is expiring, we also will close it. So it's kind of no point. Just come back when you got a longer term visa and we can sort you out. So that's why I don't have a Colombian bank account. But that's all for banking, guys. Let's move on to the next section, which is renewing your important documents. Oh, by the way, I mentioned visa in the last step. Don't worry, that's coming a bit further down. I'm going to tell you how to get a visa. Okay, so this can be a huge headache. If you're in a foreign country, especially a country like Colombia, Mexico, where the service and posting things and whatever is very slow, renewing important documents can be a headache. I actually had to renew my passport when I was in Mexico during COVID because it expired and it was a nightmare. So I highly advise that you renew everything before you leave, and that being credit cards, passport, and driver's license, the three most important things. I'm sure there's some other things that might be a bit more specific to you, but I found that those three apply to most people. So just contact those agencies, whoever manages that, renew it, and then that's one less thing to stress about. So number 3 on the list is notify your banks that you're moving country. So a lot of banks, for fraud-related security, they need you to tell you where they're going. So for example, if you're in the US, you come into Colombia, you'll need to actually tell your bank, hey, I'm going to Colombia, can you please let me use my card there? I've been to countries before where I didn't tell them and I try to use my bank card at the ATM or to buy something and it's just blocked. It doesn't work, and what's worse than that, they put suspected fraud on it and then you can't use it at all. So I've had to be on my phone in like Thailand, getting a local SIM card, trying to call Australia at all hours of the day and sitting down and trying to get them to lift it and tell them that's me, it's not fraud. So that can put a real dampener on your trip. So make sure you call your bank and tell them that you're leaving first and which countries you're going to visit. If you're doing a multi-country trip, make sure you tell them all the countries you're going to. Even if you don't go to that country, just tell them because it's better than trying to call them later and ruining your trip, you know what I mean? Number 4, this is important in case you lose your documents or they get stolen or something happens to them. Probably not going to happen, but better to be safe than sorry. So those documents I mentioned in part 2, your passport, credit cards, and driver's license, just make sure you have a photocopy of them. And if you don't have a photocopy, at least have a picture in your phone. So those are going to come in very, very handy. Having that in your phone is really helpful rather than carrying around the physical copy, which is dangerous because if you lose it, you're in trouble. Okay, now we head to the things that you need to do before you enter Colombia. If you watch any of my previous videos, you know that you need to fill out a check MIG form before you enter. That's required for everyone who comes in and leaves Colombia. So there's a link there that I put for you guys right here. And I also made the video. If you want to find out exactly more information on how to do that, I walk you through step by step. Watch this video in this link here. The next thing you want to do is book an exit flight out of Colombia. So a lot of the times, I know people have commented that, hey, they didn't ask me or whatever, but it's like with anything in Latin America, it's hit or miss. Sometimes you get asked, sometimes you won't. I've been asked the last 2 times I've come into Colombia. So luckily I had a exit flight. One time they even wouldn't let me board until I sat down, logged on, bought an exit flight, and then they let me on. In that video that I just showed you, watch that because I tell you how to get an exit flight for free that you can cancel later. The next one on the list is you get this is not really a checklist thing, this is just an explanation. If you're from most countries like the US, UK, Australia, Canada, you get a tourist stamp on entry. You can stay for 90 days. I've actually put a link in here as well because I know not all of you are from the main countries. Click this link and it shows you every country that doesn't need to apply for a visa. If you're not on the list, then you'll need to apply for a special visa called a tourist visa to visit, or one of the other visas that are available. You can contact a visa lawyer to assist you, and I put a link of the ones that we work with in our masterclass. So the next thing is you've got your 90 days entrance. You can actually apply for another 90 days. So you don't have to leave the country, you can just do this online. I would recommend that you start the process 30 days into your first 90-day visa, because sometimes it takes a while and you don't want to become illegal while you're waiting for the additional 90 days to be approved, because sometimes the government gets backlogged and this can take a lot longer than the 3 to 4 business days. They say one of my mates actually had to leave the country because he became illegal. He applied 2 weeks before. Colombian government took 6 weeks to approve him. So yeah, he became illegal, even though on the website they say 3 to 4 days processing time. So you can do that on this website that I've linked here, guys, Migration Colombia Formulario Registro. So you can do it on there. If you want a full article explaining how to do it, this one from the Visa Project is really good. So just read that. It can be a little bit difficult sometimes. So just read that, go to that website, and then you're all good. And the final step is maybe you want a long-term visa to stay in Colombia, because with these tourist visas, the 90 and the 90, the maximum you can stay in the country is 180 days per calendar year. So January 1st to December 31st, 180 days. Once it hits January 1st again, your 180 days resets. But if you don't want to leave in, go out and come back and whatever in the country you want to just stay, you need a longer term visa. There's many options. Click this link here from Next to Legal, and they're going to give you some information on all the different types of Colombian visas. And once again, with the long-term visa, I recommend that you apply about 2 months before the second 90-day tourist stamp expires, because yeah, these things can get backlogged. Sometimes they can ask you for extra information and for you to gather that and send it back, and then the review. Everything's slow in Colombia, guys. Always allow more time, because at the end, if you get denied because you run out of time, you only have yourself to blame, because Colombia is slow. We are the ones who need to adapt to that. All right, now let's talk rentals. Rentals are the next thing we hopefully want to sort out before we arrive here. We don't want to be getting to the airport and then not know where we're going to stay. So for the first month, I would recommend to use Airbnb. Airbnb is exorbitantly priced, and it's a huge rip-off in the city of Medellin, as it is in most parts of the world. But the two things it is, it's safe and it's convenient. So jump on, find a place you like, just cop the expensive prices for the first couple of weeks at least, and just book something so that you know, okay, I'm arriving at the airport, I got somewhere that's safe to stay. So you go there, and then in that time that you've booked, you can use that time to research more long-term and cheaper options. In that time, when you have the Airbnb booked, I would recommend walking around different suburbs and seeing which one vibes with you. Medellin's a big city, and it has something for everybody. So if somebody likes the area of Poblado, they might not like Laureles, and vice versa. So we have this video here which compares the 3 most popular areas of Medellin. You can check that one as well, and it'll give you some great info on which ones to check out. So the next thing you want to do is book long-term accommodation through local channels and avoid gringo prices. Yes, the deals are out there, but you have to work hard for them. It's not efficient, it's a big waste of time, but you can get them. So we have a guide called Rent Like a Local, and in that guide we provide, I believe it's 20 contacts, local real estate agents who give you good prices on great apartments. If you want to check that out, the link to that is also in this spreadsheet. And if you want more information on the actual process of what to do once you have this list, watch this video right here where we walk you through step by step of how to avoid gringo prices and scams, because there's a lot of scams in Colombia when it comes to real estate. So next on the list, guys, is health insurance. So you need health insurance actually to apply for a visa. That's one of the key components. Without health insurance, your visa will be denied. Here's some options. We have no affiliation with either. Sura is a really good one. They have a high level all-inclusive insurance, which is about $100 US per month, $1,300 a year, I think it is, and that covers everything. Or Colsanitas, which is also a really good one that my girlfriend used for a long time. So those links are there. Obviously, do your research and see which one suits you best. Okay, the next one is something you actually will have to sort out once you arrive in Colombia, but it's one of the first things that you'll want to do. It's get a local SIM card, because yeah, you can get a US SIM card if you want to use your same number, but that can be expensive depending on which carrier you're with. But right now we're going to talk about if you want to stay a bit more longer term and you want to get a Colombian SIM card. You want to get WhatsApp, because that's what everybody uses to message each other here. Nobody text messages, everything's through WhatsApp, including businesses. Even if you want to reach out for a rental property or something like that, everybody talks through WhatsApp. So it's important you have that. If you have an iPhone, make sure it's unlocked, because a lot of iPhones, especially the older ones, you can't put SIM cards in there that are a different carrier than where you got your iPhone. So you don't want to come here and put a SIM card in and it doesn't work. So make sure it's unlocked. When it comes to getting the local SIM card, I use Claro prepaid, but there's a lot of other options. And I normally pay, I think it's about $7.50 for 30 days, and I get about 12 gig of data included. So that's pretty good. By the way, if you want to see all the other options, click on this link. It's going to show you all the recharge options for Claro, plus the other companies that do prepaid here. I just did this with one of our masterclass students last week. We went to a shopping center and you just find a Claro. You can search C-L-A-R-O. You go to one of these Claro shops, you just tell them you want a SIM. They'll give you the SIM card. I think it's about $1 to get it, $2 maybe. And then you do the recharge, you tell them how much you want. They show you a little list, like the one in this link, and you'll pick one and they put it on for you. So your phone's ready to use. The one thing that you need to do though, which is very important, get your phone, serial number of your phone registered, because in Colombia, I've never heard of this anywhere else, but apparently in Colombia, if you put a Colombian SIM into a phone, and you don't get this phone registered in 15 days, they can disable the whole phone. So you don't want that to happen. So you have to go to a place, the Claro shop in Los Molinos Shopping Center. If you just search Claro Los Molinos, you'll find that too. You just go there, you line up, take a number, and they do it for you. Apparently it takes like 15 minutes. So do those two things and then your SIM card is sorted. At this point, guys, if you're liking this video, make sure you hit that like button because it will help out my channel, and also spread this video to more people who can find it useful like you have yourself. Now we get to mailbox setup. For those of you who have businesses in the US and maybe you're still receiving mail, you need to get an electronic mailbox. What this electronic mailbox does, you send all your mail to their address. They get your mail, they open it, they scan it, and then they put it into they email it to you. So then you can get all your mail. There's a website here that compares all the best options. So check that out and see which one suits you. Some of you who are moving to Colombia long-term and maybe doing an unfurnished apartment, you might want to ship a lot of big things which are hard to carry in your suitcases. So a lot of people do freight forwarding too. They can ship stuff from wherever in the world to Colombia. We're not going to provide any options for this because if the stuff gets lost, we don't want you chasing after us and saying it's our fault for recommending them. So just do a Google search. I'm sure you'll find something. And remember to check the reviews first. Okay, now we're getting to the what to bring section. What do you need to bring to Colombia from wherever you are that could be difficult to get in Colombia? Well, first things is converters. A lot of people ask this. If you come from the US uses the same converters and plug point power points as Colombia, so you don't need to bring anything. But if you're from other countries like the UK or Australia, it's different. So you will have to bring some converters. If you don't want to bring them, then you can also go to a ferreteria or like a hardware shop here, and they normally have them for $1 or $2. The next thing is, this applies specifically to Medellin, but for clothing, you won't need many jackets or warm clothes, maybe a couple sets in case you want to go to Bogota or some of the pueblos or small towns up in the mountains. It can get a bit cold there, but for day-to-day life here, it's usually very warm all the time. Even at nighttime, you can walk around in jeans and t-shirts, so you don't really need warm weather clothing. That being said, if you want to wear shorts here, feel free. I do it. I don't care. I just wear whatever I want. But socially, it's frowned upon by Colombians to walk around during the day on the street wearing shorts. They always wear long pants because it's more formal. It's just a cultural thing. So if you really want to fit in, I would bring long pants. Another thing is they don't wear flip-flops unless they're at the beach. So if you want to fit in, bring some shoes. Once again, this is not a prerequisite. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just giving you the cultural explanation. Some other things, one of the hardest things to find actually in Colombia for a good price and a good range is electronics. So like all my camera gear and my computers, I actually got my computer shipped. I got a friend of mine to get my computer in the US and bring it here because this model actually wasn't available in Colombia. So if you want to bring any electronics, I highly recommend you just bring them from the States or wherever you're from. The second big reason for this is that Colombia has huge import taxes on things that you bring into the country if those things exceed $200. So you want to buy from Amazon or whatever website it might be, over $200, huge import taxes. Under $200 is fine, so just keep that in mind. Also, books in English can be hard to procure. So if you're a reader, maybe bring your books from overseas. Recently had 2 issues with books I was trying to buy. I was trying to buy Alex Hormozi's $100 million leads, and they don't even ship to Colombia. So I just had to get the Kindle. and I was trying to buy another book, and then they just refunded it because I guess it was just too hard for them to send it to Colombia. So I'm not sure what happened there, but I never got my books. This next section is for anyone who wants to fit in with the local culture, make some local friends, maybe even date some local people and speak Spanish. So you want to learn Spanish, this is the best way to do it. So if you have Duolingo, the first thing to do is just delete it because it's pretty useless and it's just a waste of time. A better app is Babbel. You can download this, you have to pay for it, but it's pretty cheap. I think I had it in Brazil, it was something like $30 for 3 months. And the way that it differs to Duolingo is that it teaches you what you need to know. It teaches you stuff for daily conversation, not random pointless sentences that you'll never use in your life. So get that, thank me later. Also what you can do is get this app called italki. I have a full video on it on my channel. You can find it and watch it. I reviewed it. It's great. You can actually use it from where you are right now because you log onto this website, you talk to a local in whatever country you're going to. So you can practice speaking and listening to their accent so you get accustomed to the accent you're going to hear where you're going to go. And if anybody knows, the accent in Medellin is very different to what you might hear in Mexico or Argentina or any other country. I'll put the link here for the italki. You guys can jump on here and sign up for that. You can get classes for as low as $5. The next thing is Google Translate. Hopefully you're dedicated enough to learn some Spanish, but if you don't, then you can try Google Translate. Another thing is an instantaneous translator device. So I actually have one of them here. It looks just like this. It's a little thing and you put your here and you put one in the other ear and you can just walk around and it translates for you. So that's pretty good. I'm going to do a review on that too. So if you want to see that, subscribe to the channel and I'll have that coming soon. But finally guys, we have a guide called Speak Like a Local that's coming out where we've accumulated the best Spanish schools in Medellin, the best tutors in Medellin, as well as all the language exchanges around the city. So you can actually go to a language exchange almost every day of the week, and that's one of the best ways to really send your Spanish to new levels. So when I got here, I'd been taking lessons for like a year, but my Spanish level was only like a 2 or maximum 3 out of 10 because I never used it out in the world because in Mexico where I was, everyone was speaking English. So when I got here, I was in trouble because no one speaks English and I couldn't communicate with anyone. So I basically went to 2 or 3 of these language exchanges every week and my level went from like 3 to 6, 6.5, 7 in the space of 6 months. So that's one of the best ways to do it. So if you want more information of that, we have the link in the spreadsheet too. And finally, this is a list of people you might want to employ to buy back your time and improve your quality of life. So a lot of us here, we use maids, personal assistants, personal trainers, private chefs, private Spanish tutors, accountants, lawyers, private drivers. I mean, it's very affordable here, so you could realistically have all of those people on your payroll. Guys, the best way to find this is you can jump on a Facebook group. 2 of the good ones are Medellin for Non-Jerks and Gringo Paisa, and you can individually search each of these things and you can see if someone's recommended and there's a few reviews under there. Never get someone who doesn't have any reviews, but if someone has a lot of reviews, then you can trust them a bit more. If you don't want to do this process, you can also sign up for our masterclass, which is coming soon. If you're watching this video after September 18th, it's already here. In there, we provide you all our personal list of contacts, and we have everything I just spoke about. Now you have freed up a lot of time because you've hired a lot of awesome people to help you out and improve your quality of life. Next, we want to build a community. All the WhatsApp groups in Medellin are linked on one website. There you can go and you can find whatever you're interested in, do the hobbies that you love, do the sports that you love, and meet people with common interest. The link for that is right here, guys, mdecommunity.com. You can jump on that. We're going to just have a quick look at that, and it'll take you to something like this. You want to go communities, and there you go. You got something for everything. So I'm a sportsman. I like this, and I can go, okay, I want to play tennis. I'm going to click that, and it's going to open up a WhatsApp group. I'm going to go open, and boom, automatically it's going to open up. That's a great resource. Use that, guys. Thank me later. Next thing is watch out on Facebook groups. If you want to post in the Facebook group, Medellin expats, in large, those that are on social media anyway, are very toxic people. I don't know why it is, but it sucks, but it's reality. If you know anything about Medellin, you know this already. If you don't want to get into that negative headspace and buy into that bullshit, then here's some groups that I recommend to you, which are pretty good, and the admin's actually good people who manage that and boot off anyone who's, you know, being negative towards other people. Gringo Paisa is a great one, has about 25,000 members. Medellin for non-jerks. The fact that someone had to create a group solely for non-jerks tells you a lot about Medellin expat community, but that's a great one too. And also Masterclass exclusive community. We've actually built a exclusive community for entrepreneurs and business owners who are focused on self-development and giving back to the community. We have 2 organized events every month, and we have a WhatsApp group where we're chatting on every day and helping each other out. So to join, you'll need to purchase the complete Medellin Masterclass, which is coming soon. If you want more info on that, click this link. I've left this section here for you guys. You can't edit this, but if you want to go File and make a copy, and you can just rename this, say that your name is James. You can go James moving to Medellin, it'll make a copy. And then James, you can edit this and add your own things. If you think anything else needs to be added to this list, leave it in the comments. And as I said, I'm updating it every day. If you need some more info on moving to Medellin, this video right here is really good. So I suggest you check that one out next.